Hello, hola, salut, sak passe. Welcome back to my channel, aka Miss Charles. I know you all haven't heard from me over the past month and a half, but I've actually recorded quite a few videos for the channel. I just haven't posted them. I was kind of going through this little phase where I felt like all the videos that I was recording and the topics that I was, covering on the channel, they weren't 100% true to me. And I'm the kind of person that my art is really intimate to me. And I believe that if I am going to create content and choose to publish it with the world, I want it to be, I want it to have substance. I want people to be able to sit down and watch whatever I post and feel like, they just invested 20 or 30 minutes of their time and they got something from my videos. I don't want to be just another pretty face on YouTube. I'm sure there are at least a million different channels regarding makeup and those sort of things on YouTube, and I don't want to fall into that criteria at all. I mean, if one day I choose to do makeup videos, tutorials on the channel, that's fine. But for now, I just really want to focus on helping people to find themselves and helping them to deal with the issues that they face in their everyday lives. So that's kind of the gist of why I've been MIA on YouTube, but I am so excited to be back, and I hope you guys continue to watch and continue to enjoy the content that I choose to share with you all. So the topic for this evening, it actually concerns the light skin versus dark skin debate that still exists in the African American community. I'm actually probably gonna have to break it up into two parts. First, we're gonna discuss skin bleaching, and then the second segment to this, I want to discuss light skin versus dark skin and that how that interferes with our development as African American people, as citizens, and as people that have relationships, interracial relationships, whether it's just with your friends or an intimate relationship, whatever the case is. So I was having a discussion with a few friends. No, it wasn't the other day. It was actually quite a few weeks ago, and I was telling them, I'm ready to get back to YouTube, and these are the topics that I would like to cover. And I remember saying to my sorority sister that I wanted to discuss the light skin versus dark skin debate, and kind of I've always felt like dark skinned women just go through so much, but I've never really taken the time to say, well, all black women go through the same thing, and light skinned women have their own hardships also. So while I was talking to my sorority sister, and she kind of got offended because she felt like, as I said, I was kind of hinting that light skinned women don't go through hardships and light skinned women don't get dissed by black men just as much as dark skinned women do. Um, so at the end of the conversation, I learned something, and I think it's very important for us to pay attention to our dialect and to pay attention to the way that we express ourselves and being able to really put ourselves in other people's shoes. I mean, it would be very ignorant of me to say that I do believe that only dark skinned people go through things, because that's just my own opinion. That's not the opinion of every other dark skinned woman in the world. So our mutual friend asked, when did you know you were black? I mean, come on, has anyone ever asked you that before? I mean, I've never been asked, when did I know I was black? It's such a beautiful question, and I feel like all of us should really take the time to think, was there a moment in time in your life when you realized, ooh, I'm black, or yes, I'm black? And I'm not talking about when you watched Beyonce's Super Bowl halftime performance. I'm talking about a substantial moment in your life that really had such a huge impact on you and made you realize you were different in some way, or made you realize I'm black, I'm proud, or I'm black and I'm disgusted, whichever way it goes. Because there are people in this world who are black and wish they weren't black. And just as much as you are proud to be black, you have to understand that those individuals, they didn't have the same experiences as you, and they don't share the same opinion. So while we were having the discussion, and he asked, "When did we know you were black?" My hand immediately shot up. I was like, "Oh my God, I know, I know exactly." I, I mean, it's so vivid in my mind when I realized that moment, because it's something that I was young, but it really set the tone for the rest of my life. Um, so I was born and raised in Haiti, but I think I was about 8 years old, maybe going on 9. And we were moving from Haiti to the United States. And I was at the Denver International Airport, hadn't seen my father in over 4 years. And I just remember immediately I knew something was different. I knew this wasn't Haiti anymore. And I I was just immersed in so much culture, and it wasn't, I noticed it, but I didn't say anything to my parents. You know, when you're a child and you witness certain things, you've never really had that dialogue with your parents, and you don't know how to have that dialogue with your parents. With your parents to say, "Hey, mom, why are these people so pale? Why are their hair red? Or why are their eyes so many different colors? And they're all different shapes, different sizes." And you don't really know how to put all that stuff into words when you're a child. So I remember after that day at the airport, there was another moment. I remember I was watching an awards show with my brother in his room, and I think it was Jennifer Lopez going up the stairs. And this is around the time that my brother actually fell in love with Jennifer Lopez. And every woman after that was every woman that he brought home that he had whatever type of intimate relationship with, they all resembled Jennifer Lopez, or they all resembled my mother. And my mother is light skinned, really long hair, pretty hair, hazel eyes. She's tall, she's voluptuous. And I remember looking at Jennifer Lopez and I thought, wow, she looks just like my mom. And every woman that my brother brought home after that looked just like her. So growing up, I kind of felt like, well, okay, so this is how my mother looks. These are her physical traits. And that's what my brother is obviously attracted to. So that must be the standards for beauty. So growing up in middle school, I straightened my hair. I permed my hair a lot. And I remember I used to use my mom's powder to cover my dark skin. And it was kind of around the time when, when you're in middle school, that's when your parents really start teaching you to keep up with your hygiene as a young woman, to keep your nails clean, smell nice all the time, keep your hair done. So I started asking my mom, well, can I also use bleaching creams? Because I seen a lot of women in Haiti using bleaching creams to either lighten their skin tone, or if they were already light skinned, they use the bleaching creams to actually, keep their color. So I'm starting to bleach my skin. I'm wearing makeup when I shouldn't be, and I am just doing the absolute most. And I remember my best friends at the time, Dion and Nikita, they were so appalled that I even had bleaching cream and I was actually using it. And we all had that talk as black women, you're beautiful, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But it literally went from one ear through one ear and out the other. I was not listening. I was like, look, you guys feel beautiful, kumbaya, that's great, but that's not me. I'm not there yet. Let me do what I want to do. So this continued up until I was in high school. I believe it was like maybe my sophomore year in high school. I had my bleaching cream in my bag, and we were in the locker room getting ready for track practice. And one of my teammates seen my bleaching cream, and she's like, "Are you serious? You bleach your skin? No wonder why your face is so light and the rest of your body is so dark." And instead of taking that as a lesson to stop using bleaching creams, I was like, maybe I should just rub the cream all over my body now. So I started bleaching all over, except for my toes. And I kind of felt like, I guess I didn't think much of it at the time. Um, but then one day, and this was like the next year, my junior year, I was on the cheerleading squad. I made the cheerleading squad, and oh, those girls were so mean. And I actually got into it with one of my cheer sisters over social media, and we were just going at each other's throats. You know, we're high school girls, we're cheerleaders, we're really mean. And she called me a black bitch. And I remember reading those words online, and I was like, did she just. I was really confused because I'm like, okay, I know she's light skinned, but we're both black. And she's light skinned, but I'm prettier than her. She's kind of cockeyed, so why is she calling me a black bitch? And then I was really confused because one of her closest friends was a dark skinned girl. It really bothered me for whatever reason that a black woman was calling another black woman a black bitch. And believe it or not, that was actually the moment that I started, I was able to look in the mirror and be like, I am beautiful. I am absolutely 100% drop dead gorgeous. And no one can tell me any differently. And it hurt me so much to hear it, but I don't think I would be the young woman that I am today, if my cheer sister hadn't called me a black bitch. I don't think it would have happened as soon as it did. And that was actually around the time when I stopped perming my hair and I started wearing foundation that's actually my skin tone. And I started wearing darker shades on my lips instead of that light pink shade that, black girls wear, and they forget to put eyeliner around it or lip liner. So it was definitely a life-changing moment for me, her calling me a black bitch. But I remember when I was sitting in front of the computer, and it just brought back all these painful memories of my childhood when I was attending elementary school here in the United States. And I used to get bullied literally every day. And I didn't speak English, so I couldn't go to my teachers and say, so-and-so did this to me. And I would literally get sent to the principal's office every day because someone would push me in the hallway or say something to me, and I would push them back and they'd go tell. But I couldn't defend myself because I didn't speak the language. And I remember this boy in particular named Orlando in my elementary school class. He used to take my pencils all the time. My mother was buying me new pencils and pens and crayons like on a weekly basis. And they couldn't figure out why. And it's hard you don't have a voice when you don't speak the language. So one day I took all his stuff in the classroom. I was like, I just took it and I threw it away and I dared him to hit me. I dared him to say anything to me. And you know what he called me? Darky. He called me Darky. He got so frustrated and so upset because he'd been bullying me for an entire year. And I finally stood up for myself and he called me Darky. So when I was reading the comment that my cheer sister made, it just brought me back to that day when this Hispanic boy called me Darky. And I don't know, just all these things just come together at some point in my life. And I think that was the moment that I realized, like, people are going to be mean in life. People are going to make derogatory comments towards you. People are going to try to break you. But it's all for the better. It's all to make you stronger. And if I didn't have that mindset at such a young age, I don't know if I would really be the person that I am. I don't know if I would have the tough skin that I have. I don't know if I would be able to, now look in the mirror and be like, oh, she's gorgeous without the makeup. If I could take selfies and actually post them to social media without having to feel like I have to put a filter on my pictures, or I have to put on makeup just to go to the grocery store, to put on makeup just to go to one class. So it takes a toll on an individual to hear all these negative things about themselves, but at the same time, you choose what to make out of those situations. Like, if somebody's calling you ugly, you're choosing to believe it at the end of the day. If somebody is telling you you're not good enough, it's all a choice at the end of the day. And I think it's worth mentioning that skin bleaching was a choice that I made. I could have, just grown out of the phase like everyone else, and I could have just learned to love myself like everyone else, but that wasn't the path that I wanted to take. That wasn't what I felt like would be best for me. So, and it actually took me a long time to forgive my mother. I kind of held a grudge against her because I felt like as a parent and as a woman, she should have been able to sit down with me and say, Faniola, these are some of the things that you're going to experience in life. And I know I don't look the way you look, but you're still a beautiful young woman. Because I remember going to parent teacher conferences with my mother, and they, our my teachers at the time would say, "Oh no, your mother has to come, or it has to be your father. It can't just be who your babysitter or whoever." And I'm like, this is my mother. I know we don't look alike. I know she's light skinned and we look completely different physically, but this is my mother, believe it or not. Black people come in all types of colors. We come in all shades of black. Our eyes can be different colors. Our hair can be blonde. It doesn't, there's not just one image for black people. And it really took a long time for me to understand that concept. I would see black people in Haiti with blonde hair, and I thought, wonder where they came from, or wonder if they just stayed out in the sun too long. If you're from Haiti, you've heard this. People with blonde hair, they always say it's because they stayed out in the sun when they were young, and that's why their hair changed color. We never really think about genetics and our bloodline and how much impact that DNA can actually have on our physical traits, physical appearances. So I wish that was a conversation that I would have been able to have with my mother, for her to say, yes, I meet the standards as a light-skinned woman, and that's what Haitian men back then preferred. Whatever the case is, I wish that was a conversation that I could have had with her, and I think it would have made life easier, but I don't think it necessarily. I mean, I really don't know, because we never had the conversation. I can't really say what impact it could have had. I can't say I would have been a completely different person. I can't say that it would have made things any easier. I think things happened the way they were meant to happen. And there's nothing that, I don't really wish things were any different. I just wish that, I mean, I think we both learned a lot. I think she, because I always, when I go back to Haiti and they tell me how she was when she was younger, and they always, the first thing they say to describe my mother, oh, she was just so beautiful, and oh, she was so thick, and oh, her eyes were so gorgeous, and then they say, and she was so independent. I really wish the conversation was different. The way that we have these conversations with our children, with our sisters, with our brothers, I wish it was different. So I've learned to forgive my mother for not knowing to have that conversation with me. But at the same time, I take full responsibility for bleaching my skin and for feeling insecure and whatever else the case was. Now, it took me a little longer to forgive my brother because my brother really went through a phase where he admired women that looked like my mother. And it makes sense, because I think just the same that just the way that young girls, their first love is their father, and the first person they look up to is their father. I think it's the same for boys. I think boys, their first love is their mother. So if you see your mother looks a certain way and she acts a certain way, when you get older and you start finding women attractive, what's going to attract you are the women that most resemble your mother. So my brother, naturally, he was attracted to women that were, lighter in skin tone, long silky hair, beautiful eyes. He liked them a little thin back then, but now he likes his women curvy. And I think if my brother was attracted to dark skinned women back then, I think I would have felt different about myself. But I don't know, at some point in his life, he just started to appreciate dark skinned women. And I'm so thankful for that, because now please do not hate me for saying this, but I really don't understand black men that don't appreciate black women. Black men that do not want to reproduce with black women. And it really bothers me when I'm like on Facebook or whatever type of social media, and I see black men bashing black women, and they praise like Hispanic women for being feisty and having bad attitudes and smart mouths and, all these types of characteristics. But then if a black woman exhibits those same characteristics, suddenly she's too much, she's too ghetto, she's too this, and she's too that. And I remember in high school, well, even now, look at my nails. I'd have nails with jewelry in them. They would curl. I'd have all types of colors, all types of shapes. And the boys at my high school were just like, you're so ghetto and you're so this and you have such a bad attitude. And it's like black women are not allowed to have bad attitudes. Black women are not allowed to show emotion, to show frustration, to be angry, to just to have emotion, to be human beings. But if a Caucasian woman, if she's throwing a fit, if she has a temper, if she has ghetto nails, or she has discolored hair, or she wears short shorts and all these different things, it's acceptable. So that really bothers me in that sense. I'm all for equality. So for me I just can never understand why it's okay for certain women to have these types of issues within themselves and our brothers accept it, but if it's a black woman doing the same thing, it's not okay. And it also bothers me now that I see on social media all these memes about, like, guys share these memes with little girls with really curly hair and light skin and really cute, and they're like, oh, that's how I want my babies to look. Like, they have this new fetish for Hispanic women, and I really just don't get it. It's like, your mother doesn't look like that, but you want your daughter to look like that. And it's just, they bash us black women, they bash dark-skinned women just as much as light-skinned women. And it really just bothers me, because I feel like, okay, what if you have a daughter one day and your daughter doesn't have the light skin tone, she doesn't have the long curly hair that you think you're going to get because her mother has it? How do you sit down and have that conversation with your daughter then to tell her she's beautiful when you spent most of your life telling women that look like her that they're not beautiful? To me, that's just drives me crazy, and I don't get it. I don't think I'll ever get it. I don't think if anyone even sits down with me to explain it, that it'll ever make sense to me. And I think the best meme that I've ever seen on social media, it said something along the lines of, it's not verbatim, so just go with it, okay? Every negative emotion that you feel about black women, write it down on a piece of paper and hand it to your mother. Now, I think that would be the best conversation you've ever had with your mother, or the best ass whooping. Either one, I think, will work for you. I mean, it's true though. Just as much as you want to bash black women for looking a certain way, for doing certain things, for talking a certain way, just for certain behaviors that, or stereotypes that we've been labeled with, your mother fits in that stereotype, believe it or not. So if you have genuine and unconditional love for your mother, and you accept her for who she is, and you respect her, and she's the one that brought you into this world, then why don't you feel the same way about other black women? I just don't understand why black women can't be angry, why we can't have emotion, why we can't be different, why we can't wear blonde hair, why we can't have pink lipstick, why we can't have long, crazy nails, why we can't, talk with a little neck here and there. I don't understand why things like that are not okay. And it's something that I know is always going to bother me. And especially with my brother, I've told him, like, this is how I am, and I am your sister, and I am dark skinned, and I have certain behaviors. I'm not loud, and I'm not, chaotic or anything in that sense. But some of the stereotypes that they label black women with, I do fit into them. So as a brother, as somebody that I look up to, how do you feel going into society criticizing other women that are like me, but you're okay with me being the way that I am? So I think that's a conversation that I actually would like to have with a few of my male peers just to get an understanding of why they feel that way. Because I think it would make life a whole lot easier if black men were on our side. If black men supported us and encouraged us instead of telling us that we're not pretty enough, we're not, whatever enough, and trying to compete with other women that we don't need to compete with. Every race, everyone has something about themselves that isn't beautiful, but just the same. Everyone has something about themselves that somebody else can't wait to be married to for the rest of their lives. So I think, I was just telling someone this the other day. I think younger girls, younger women that are coming up into the world these days, they're so fortunate because, back when I was growing up, I say that like I'm so old, but when I was growing up, there weren't any memes that celebrated black women, that addressed black women as queens. There weren't any TV shows to help us to appreciate our beauty. But now, if you get on Instagram, you will see a variety of posts that there are pages that are even dedicated to black excellence, to black beauty, and we didn't have that. I just really want people to consider, if you're a brother, if you're an older brother and you have a little sister, make sure you have that conversation with her so she understands the world is a cruel place and there are cruel people in it. And there are people who literally wake up every day and their one goal is to break someone down. Their one goal is to make someone feel as bad as they do about themselves. And as an older brother or an older sister, it's important to have those conversations with your siblings to say, these are some of the insecurities that I have within myself, and these are some of the behaviors I feel like you exhibit, or some patterns that I've seen in your lifestyle that don't necessarily help me through my situation. And as a brother or as a sister, I would like you to help me in this way by doing this and that. And I think it's okay to have those conversations. And I think, as I said, I'm going to cover in a part 2 video. I think if you are dark skinned and you have a light skinned friend, it's okay to open the door for that conversation to say, as a light skinned woman, how do you feel? What hardships do you face? And vice versa. I think it's important for us sisters to be able to approach our brothers, our men, to say, well, what is it about black women that you don't like? Or I would like you to support us better by doing this and that. I think just being able to have these conversations can make such a huge impact in society, can make such a huge impact in our communities, and we don't even realize it. It's like everything's all fun and games on social media. Everything is just another meme for likes. Everything is a phase and then it goes away. But you never know who's looking at that meme. You never know that one person that's seen that meme today, they got bullied in school. They were told they were ugly. They were told they were too black and ugly. And they seen your meme about dark-skinned girls are the best. Dark-skinned girls are more beautiful. You don't know what that does to them. So I'm always going to preach this. Just be careful what you share. Make sure you have these honest, genuine conversations with the people you love so they feel like you support them, so they feel like we're all in this together. We're all trying to figure life out, and nobody really has it figured out yet. So just by supporting each other and encouraging each other to believe in ourselves and to find self-esteem, I think is very important. I remember I was watching I don't remember what show it was, but Cat Williams, he was talking about, how women, they get in relationships and they lose themselves. And I guess he had an encounter with a woman, and the woman, accused him of taking away, or I guess destroying her self-esteem. And Cat Williams, being Cat Williams, he responded in the best way that he knew how, but I think he made such a strong point and he probably didn't even realize it. So, the woman told him, you took away my self-esteem and I feel so bad about myself. I don't feel beautiful anymore. And pardon the language, he was like, bitch, it's called self-esteem. It's the esteem of your motherfucking self. And boy, if that's not the truth, I think we always depend on other people to build us up. that we've gotten to the point where if we're lost or we feel down, we don't know how to pick ourselves up. We don't know how to give ourselves that, motivational talk to get us through the next day. We don't know how to accept rejection. And it's really unfortunate because we were all born alone and we all feel different things and we're all going to die alone. And there are certain experiences that, I may go through that my best friend doesn't go through. And I have to understand that just because I go through certain things and I feel like my life is so much worse, that it's not true. She may be going through certain things that I wouldn't know how to deal with either. So no one is ever better than someone else. No one ever has it easier than someone else. Even if someone is born with a silver spoon in their mouth, there are other things they battle throughout their lives. There are other insecurities that they may have. It's like Kylie Jenner. She was born into a rich family, but that poor girl has gotten every type of cosmetic surgery you could think of. She has all the money, and someone that lives a normal day-to-day life, that works a 9 to 5, that goes to school Monday through Friday, I may be like, oh, she has all this money, she doesn't have any problems. And it's not true. That girl probably has more problems than I do. I can get out of bed and face myself in the mirror with no makeup gladly anytime. I know I'm gorgeous without makeup, but I can't say that for the next person. So life is about understanding everyone goes through something and everyone deals with it their own way. And all we can really do is to have that conversation with each other, to push each other, encourage each other, and motivate each other to be better than we were yesterday, to be better for tomorrow. So that's all I really had to say with this conversation. It was just really bothering me that I think it's just so weird that now I'm seeing all these documentaries on Facebook about the epidemic of skin bleaching in Jamaica and in the Caribbean and, the Dominican. And I'm like, it's been an epidemic, but I'm glad the media is catching up. I think it's important to bring awareness and to make people feel like you're doing this thing and it's not right, but you're not alone. And this is why you should stop doing it. And I think it's okay to, 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been so open to share this with the world. But I'm like, you know what? We all do things we're not proud of. And if I can help the next person, if I can help even just my little cousin to understand that she's gorgeous the way she is and she doesn't need to bleach her skin to feel beautiful, that's fine. Even if it's just one person that I convince they don't need it. I wish I would have had that one person when I was growing up to tell me, you don't need it and this is why. So you may think your voice is not being heard, but you can literally change someone's life with just one conversation. And it's important for us to start feeling comfortable with each other, to have these conversations and to let each other know that we're here to be supportive, we're here to encourage, and we're here to motivate. So thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave your feedback, your questions, and any comments that you may have. I'm more than happy to continue the conversation with you all, whether it is on social media or those of you that have my phone number or have me on social media pages. My Instagram is still Say Hey Miss Charles. Ow. And I actually don't give my Facebook out, but if you already have me as a friend on Facebook, I'm more than happy to hear your opinion, to hear your thoughts. Snapchat, you can always send me a snap and I'll respond. So again, thank you so much for coming back and watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.